Are you anxious to touch my penis?
I mean, if I'm a ghost, of course the first thing I'm going to do is go to my clock and just punch it out. Hello, this is Dan Heisenberg White, and you're strapped in for another sensational episode of the Never Ever Show. Today, my guest is one of the most interesting and mysterious people I've had the honor to interview. Like myself, she has had a habit of popping up in other people's videos quite frequently. Besides being a professional catfish, though, she's also an erotic literary narrator and current world record holder for fastest 50-yard backwards crab walk dash. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Miss Tiffany Lockheart.
Hello.
Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on the show. Can I tell you, you are the only ever request I've ever had.
Nice.
For this show. We're still pretty new, but yeah, you've come at a high demand.
Nice.
So
nice, thank you.
Now you can't disappoint, though, so this has to be my best episode.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to definitely hear about it then, if it's not any good. Yeah.
Well, you know how the show works. I wanted to ask you just a couple things before we really get into the main segment here. We have never, not never, but very rarely have had some one-on-one conversations with one another, yet we come from the same cloth, cut from the same cloth in terms of this community that we're involved in, for better or for worse. What I'd like to know is, what do you think of this community that you have now become an integral part of? And who are some of your favorite folks you'd like to give a shout out to?
This community is amazing. I've gotten to speak with quite a few that are very, very interesting, and everyone is so supportive. I would like to give a shout out to, and this is going to be painful for me personally, to Clobbering Time, because he talks shit to me constantly, even publicly. So, but I need to give a shout out to him because going onto his live streams every single Sunday, he gives a place for people to listen to Lorne, make fun of Lorne, to talk to each other. And I think it's a lot of fun. So I've seen a lot of the same people show up, but there's quite a few that will pop in there. You know, I think upwards of over 150 people will show up. So it's really nice to see people interact with each other. So many people are hilarious. I love the different screen names that come up that are so creative. I have none of that creativity, by the way. So to see all of that, it makes it a lot of fun. Certainly with a lot of the content that's created by a lot of different people. You yourself have done it. Arrested has done it. Also, we were talking about before the prank calls. Candid Fellow.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Those are hilarious. So it's really nice to see just people who are also interested in TCAP, but also create their own content on the side.
Yeah, it really is interesting how the same sort of dead horse topic almost has stayed relevant for so long and has brought together some really interesting, amazing people who have formed legitimate friendships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I don't think I'd be able to get through this interview without bringing up Lorne Armstrong, that is. Don't want you confused with any other Lornes. When it comes to Lorne, do you believe there is any hope for him still? Will he ever learn his lessons or become a better person, or is he just totally a lost cause?
I think that he is totally a lost cause. I think that his only real chance at coming out of this a better person would happen if he's a better person right now, as far as getting out of prison this last time and having taken in a lot of the things that the judge said to him. I don't know if you've had a chance to look over the transcript, but that hearing when he was sent back to prison, the judge said so many amazing things, gave him perfect advice to follow, to turn his life around and to really just move forward. Stop trying to fight people on the internet to make them think that he's a better person. Try to make people think that he's not a child predator, because he is one. But that is really his only chance. And also he would have to stay away from the alcohol. That's what put him back in jail again. So if he's able to do that at this point, then there would have been a chance. But I don't know, just based on my conversations with him, when I would really try to get to the bottom line of things and ask him really pointed questions and see if there's any kind of a glimmer of hope. You know, is he actually gonna take some advice and reach some kind of clarity so that he can step away from all of the bullshit that he's been feeding everybody and to himself too. And what I found was that even after those conversations would happen, I would end up being frustrated because really he would just go back and he would say something like, but I know I never wanted to go there. And so when that happens, after you've made this huge speech about responsibility and how he did want to go, and he even will agree with that as it's moving along, and you think, okay, are we cracking the shell here? And then it just falls flat. So based on those conversations, absolutely not. There's no hope at all. And I don't think that he wants there to be hope. I think he wants to be himself. But he also wants people to have a different perception of him because who he is as a person is really just a pile of shit. But he doesn't want anybody to know that.
It's like he really wants people to be proud of him, but he knows it's a lot easier to get people to feel sorry for him.
Absolutely.
And it's just as good a feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, you know, when he was reading the chat log, we didn't get to finish the whole thing, but when he was reading it, he's the one who wanted it to be recorded. He wanted it to be put on YouTube because he wanted people to hear him struggling to get through it. He had mentioned a couple of different times because originally it was just on a phone call. It was before he had decided that he wanted it to be on YouTube. But just during a phone call, after those would happen and he would, you know, do his crying and he would really be, you know, saying, oh, Jesus, like every single time he would come across a line. That was all an act. And he was really disappointed that none of that came through on his performance when he was doing it for YouTube, or so he thought, because he would make mention of, you know, I wish people could hear how it was when I did it with you before. You know, because it was more performance that time and he couldn't get the same emotion back.
It's like he very much wants to be portrayed as this Jekyll and Hyde, where he himself is a good person, but there's an uncontrollable part of him that he can't escape.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he wants to say that, oh, you just have to tell me not to do these things and then I won't do them.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm afraid that your answer is pretty much exactly what I was expecting it to be.
Okay.
Very insightful, though, but yeah, I am familiar with that transcript with the judge, though, but sobering, insightful moments seem to go right over his head. So,
definitely.
It's unlikely that'll stick, but who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
And we've said that about Lorne every couple of weeks.
Right.
And speaking of which, one more time before we leave this topic, what were some of the main challenges you faced when playing a role like that online and over the phone?
I think sometimes to rein in my anger, because I would get genuinely angry at him. Sometimes I wasn't able to hold that back. Sometimes it did go along with the character. You know, Debbie was kind of a dominating person. She didn't let him talk. She wouldn't feed into any of his bullshit. And that was how I was feeling. I didn't want to hear his excuses anymore. I didn't want to hear him say he didn't want to go. I don't want to hear him say that Dateline set him up and that perverted justice, you know, they're the perverts. They're the ones that need to be looked at. So, you know, I really just wanted to get past it and have him say, I did want to do this. I am that person. And, you know, when you think about it, he is in his rape class for, you know, this will be the second time I think that he was going through this before he was expelled. And he's going to have to start again. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of challenges when you're talking about this because he really is a negative energy. He's toxic. You know, to have him call and start yelling and screaming. And there are a lot of times when you just don't want to deal with it.
He's like a black hole that
Yes.
sucks reason and tolerance out of people like
Yeah.
nobody else.
It can definitely be exhausting.
And you know what? I would probably have it would be on a molecular level, but I might have a small amount of respect for him if he ever really did own up to his mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
As from the smallest injustice to going to the sting house to rape a child. If he were to ever have a little bit of humility and apologize, not to gain sympathy, but to admit to himself he did something wrong and was going to actively try to improve himself and not make the same mistake again, I think a little bit I would respect. And I can say that for two reasons. One, I know it's never going to happen. And two, in the cases of some very few individuals from this show who never lied about their intentions, who served their time, pled guilty, later on sought counseling and help, or admitted to their mistakes, I don't respect them necessarily, but there's obviously a reason we go after the guys that we go after and
Sure.
the ones that we leave alone.
Yeah.
Because the guys that we go after want to have it both ways of, I've paid my debt to society, I've made mistakes, but also at the same time, it was never my fault and I was set up, and you should look into NBC and perverted justice and and you can't have it both ways.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes it so fun to get these guys in their, catch them in our spider webs of ours,
Right.
of lies. Yes. But yes, we're going to leave Lorne right there.
All right.
For the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask you. These questions have nothing to do with one another. They're going to be really out there and random.
Okay.
And we're just going to see what happens, okay?
All right.
My first question to you. Have you ever been on a movie date? That is a date to the movies, a first date, or any date to the movies. And if so, how did it go? And was the movie selection a good choice or not?
Yes, I have. And I'm trying to remember. I know there was one time I went to a drive-in to see Fast and the Furious, and I fell asleep immediately. So I never saw it.
I have a lot of stories like that. The town I live in right now, there's a drive-in for me like 2 miles from me, and it's like my favorite summertime spot to go to, especially when I had a truck. And I have a truck now again, too, so I'm really excited to...
Is it a white truck?
It's not a white truck, it's a black truck.
Okay.
Gonna back it in, lay in the bed, get a bunch of blankets, and then as soon as the sun goes down, go right to sleep, probably. Same thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something about sleeping under the stars while Iron Man does some shit and makes a bunch of noise is like really soothing for some reason.
Yeah.
But okay, do you have any bad dating stories you'd be willing to share?
I have quite a few. There was one where I went out with this guy and he wanted to really impress me, I think. So we went into Manhattan and he wanted to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and then we were going to go see Phantom of the Opera, and then we were going to go to dinner.
I'm actually jealous.
Yeah. So he didn't tell me exactly what we were doing. So I didn't know, I wore heels, and that was a big mistake. I didn't realize we were going to do so much walking. So I know that at one point we were in the museum and I'm like, I just need to sit down for just a second because my feet were killing me. And he kind of got annoyed with that. And I'm like, oh, geez, this is going to be really bad. So then as the day goes on, it gets even worse because I start to get sick. Like I'm coming down with the flu or something. So I get all congested. I have a headache. I feel achy. But, he didn't really seem concerned. He was just like, well, we'll go to the drugstore. We'll get you some Dayquil or something. And I wanted to be a good sport. So I did. And we went to the theater, and then dinner was at Tavern on the Green. I'm not sure if you know where that is. It's right in Central Park.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So there were reservations were like at 11:30 at night. So I'm not feeling well. I'm not hungry at all. So we go and we sit down, and I ordered the smallest thing that I could find. And it was like 2 crab cakes. Mm-hmm. So when it comes, again, I'm not hungry. He orders this huge dinner, like 3-course meal. And I'm kind of picking at it and not really eating. And so he got annoyed at that again, because obviously I was wasting wasting his food or whatever. So yeah, he had a really bad attitude about it. I think if I were in his shoes, I mean, I get that he put a lot of effort into it, and I get that he spent a lot of money, but I wasn't feeling well. You know, I think if it was me, I would be like, we'll just do it another time. You know, but he didn't care, so that was the last time I saw him.
But you scored a free show and a meal out of it, so.
I did. I mean, the show is beautiful. I loved it. It was just not, his attitude was so shitty. You know, he was one of those people that just wanted to kind of throw his money around. And
little did you know that man would become your future husband.
No, not even close.
It didn't work out. Oh, sorry.
No, it did not work out. No, I didn't see him.
Well, never say never.
That would be really weird. All
right, moving on. I'm not going to judge you one way or another how you answer this.
Okay.
Are you a believer in the supernatural, like ghosts, or alien life? And do you have any spooky real life stories?
When it comes to paranormal stuff, I would say that I don't know. I don't necessarily believe it, but I don't not believe it either. I think that it can, you know, I haven't had the types of experiences that some people do where they see ghosts or, you know, they really believe in aliens or anything like that. I just haven't had those types of experiences to say yes or no. I know that I've been in some really creepy places. So growing up, I was in New England when I grew up, and so a lot of the homes are very old. And I remember going to one of my friend's houses, and it was about 150 years old. And I know that it was 3 stories, and there was an attic at the top. And I always felt uncomfortable going up on the second floor where there was an entrance to the attic. I always felt uncomfortable. So whatever that meant, I'm not really sure if there was some kind of a presence there or not. I have heard a lot of stories about that house. I have family members who have houses that they say are haunted. They've seen things, but I've never seen anything myself.
So interesting you say, because almost that exact situation, one of my 2 apartments ago, an old house, I was on the 2nd floor, and there was a 3rd floor that was an attic, mostly storage, but like storage from the past like 100 years of tenants. Like just leaving shit up there. And I just always got a very strange, because it's literally just decades of junk, but on the walls there are taped on very frayed old cutouts from like magazines from like the 60s. So you know, like some kid was living up here at some point.
Right.
Like this was somebody's private area, and just 40, 50 years have gone by. And their memory is long gone. They may even be dead at this point, but like some of the stuff that they left there is still there. Like it's kind of freaky.
That is freaky.
Myself, I'm really very skeptical when it comes to most things. Mm-hmm. Ghosts, I really don't believe it. Aliens, I think it would be foolish to say either or, because our understanding of the universe is at about 0.0000001% of what we could possibly know. But I think the only ever strange sort of thing that ever happened to me was when my grandfather died. The next morning after he passed, the clock in my grandparents' house stopped, which was kind of interesting. And I hear that that's actually a frequent, like that's a thing. You know, when somebody dies, like the clock stop. Yeah. Total coincidence, most likely. But
right. I mean, and that's the thing.
I mean, if I'm a ghost, of course, the first thing I'm going to do is go to my clock and just punch it out. And
exactly.
Take the batteries out.
Yeah, exactly.
This will really fuck with them. All right. Well, moving on then. We're going to do a little hypothetical role playing here, okay?
Okay.
You and I are taking a long road trip together.
Okay.
Maybe to Maine, maybe to Cornville.
All right.
But in the meantime, you're handed the aux cord, and it'll give me 3 artists to jam to during the drive.
AC/DC.
Hell yeah.
The Cars. And Exposé.
Wow, you have a similar taste in music to my dad.
Nice.
He likes to talk about it. He saw the Cars live. He saw Queen live when Freddie Mercury was still alive.
Oh, nice.
He loves to flex that
Yeah.
on us a little bit. Yeah. Well, okay, cool. Interesting. What was the last artist you said?
Expose. It's just an 80s girl band.
What are some of their hits?
Oh my gosh. Come Go With Me is one. Seasons Change is another. I'm trying to think of the names of it. I know one of the albums.
This isn't ringing a bell.
Yeah. Or you could just throw on Britney Spears and just call it a day.
You know, it took every ounce of power for me to not say, okay, sing to me.
Oh, man. I'm not singing to you. I wouldn't sing to Lorne. I'm not singing to you either.
I'm not going to put you on the spot. I don't know how much time you spend on YouTube outside of the community, but what channels on the platform do you consider to be real hidden gems that more people should know about? TCAP or otherwise?
I feel like I do spend a lot of time on YouTube, but I don't know that I watch anything really specific. I kind of fall down a lot of black holes, you know, when it comes to that. So I'll watch one thing, like I like a lot of true crime stuff. So there's one channel, I forget exactly what the name is. I think it's like Stephanie Gallo. But she goes into in-depth discussion of crimes. Like she provides the outline, tells the whole story. That I think is really interesting. I like to listen to longer videos when I'm at work. That way they're an hour or more and I don't have to, it's not jumping around or anything like that. So those are the types of things that I listen to. I'm trying to think of the other ones that I do.
I'm subscribed to literally like hundreds of channels, and on the spot, I wouldn't be able to come up with everything right away, so I don't blame you, but...
Yeah. I watch a lot of medical things, too.
Like insightful learning medical things, or like pimple popping medical things?
No, I'm not really into the pimple popping thing, although sometimes it is interesting. But, you know, sometimes I'll be curious about... you know, certain things. Somebody will tell me that they have to get an injection in their eye for something, and I'll want to look and see what that is. Yeah. So I'll go and watch it. You know, what's a particular something that has to do with a heart, a particular procedure. I saw this one where they took a tube of cholesterol right out of the heart, out of the artery, and they just pulled on it, and it came out like a perfect tube.
Freaky.
You should watch it.
Nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I touched on this once in another episode when I was talking with Arrested. I've been in person to a gross anatomy lab where they have cadavers.
Oh, nice.
Cut open and oh man, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be
nasty.
weird.
That's a smell you don't forget.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, but okay, well, here's a good one. I want to know what's the first crazy thing you're planning on doing after quarantine is over?
Honestly, I don't do anything crazy. I really don't.
What's the first big thing you want to do that you can't do right now?
Well, I think most people would think of traveling. But I don't really travel either. I don't know what I would do.
Get a haircut? That's what I'm planning on.
Yes, definitely. I'm definitely going to have to get the haircut. And get the brows waxed too. That's another thing.
I got this wicked cowlick.
Do you?
My head is just not made for long hair. Like what most people would call too short is probably too long for me, and I've been growing it out a little bit more recently.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. I look like a goddamn hippie.
Yeah. So the salon's gonna be really busy when that's over. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
This might circle back to my first question about the dating. But I have a feeling you know what I mean by this. Do you have any nice guy stories? Nice guys in quotes? Do you, like on the internet, what a nice guy is?
You mean, is that an incel?
Yes. An incel can be a nice guy. A nice guy would fall under the umbrella of somebody who put in the minimum effort to get your attention, your affection, and was greatly insulted when you didn't return it. Something like that. Somebody who is thirsty, or of simping, or whatever you want to call it. Because I have a feeling, as somebody who is well, first off, you're a woman on the internet, so that's already a death sentence right there. The fact, and you talk frequently, and you've made a lot of great content. You've fallen. A lot of people have probably fallen for you that you don't even know, and they like all your videos, and they want you just to, reciprocate by having, performing sexual favors on them, because at least they liked your videos. Come on.
Right, right. They've done that, so I need to do something for them.
I'd say it seems only fair. Do you have any stories like that come to mind?
No, none. Everyone's been really nice. I haven't received any dick pics, in my inbox, anything like that. Everyone's been really nice. So
Lorne.
Well, Lorne, yeah, that's true. But everyone has the Lorne pictures. It's not.
Wow, that's actually really inspiring to hear. I'm glad. I feel happy to be a part of this community.
Absolutely.
And I've always felt like that the trashy people in this community get weeded out really fast, right. And they don't last very long.
Right.
So,
yeah. No.
Which is an anomaly because I'm still here. So.
Yeah, it hasn't happened, so I'm really happy about that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
My next question, what is a show that you could watch over and over again, no matter how many times you watch through it, and it's still going to be amazing?
I have a couple. Seinfeld is one. I think I can have that on all the time, and it'll still make me laugh. Arrested Development is another. And It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is another.
Love that show.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Those are all shows where all the episodes' plots are vastly different, but they're all the same type of episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny and a little bit cringy and way over the top.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what makes them good.
Yeah.
Do you agree with this sentiment? And I may be ostracizing and alienating some people with this, but when it comes to like gender and sexuality, right? I think we're all just ourselves. Like, I don't think we all fit under some blanket umbrella term. I think a feminist can look like anything. I think a bisexual person or what I mean is, like, I'm Dan. I'm attracted to who Dan is attracted to. I'm not like just one thing, right? I think it's you can't just categorize people with these blanket terms. I think everybody is just who they are. Do you follow me?
So you're thinking that you can also be attracted to men?
I'm thinking that I could be attracted to who I'm attracted to, and just in every case so far, it just happens to be women.
Okay.
But like the idea of like, well, it's just impossible for me to otherwise think any other way. It's like, I don't know yet because I just haven't been there yet.
Sure.
I've met some people, some friends that I like a lot more than others. Mm-hmm. I've met, there's family members I identify with more than others. There are groups and cliques of people I identify more than others. As somebody who likes classic rock, you think I would also like heavy metal, mm-hmm. but that's not it. Maybe I like classical music or mm-hmm. jazz or something like you don't just fit into this cookie cutter thing. And I think you're lying to yourself if you believe like I am just this thing and that is it. And it's 100% accurate all the time.
I guess for the sake of having to label yourself, sure. I mean, because just like you were saying, you don't know until something happens. Anything is subject to change. But I would have to say that I am a heterosexual woman. I remember people saying that all women are bisexual.
Yeah, see, that's something that I also have a problem with. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. And I think, I think some of it has to do with, well, a lot of guys would like to have all women be bisexual and imagine that. You know
why a lot of guys fantasize about that? Because they're also probably bisexual.
It could be. It definitely could be. Or they like the idea of two women, or the threesome, with two women. But I think, I wasn't sure, of course, because, thinking that everything everything is subject to change. But I remember a moment when I was in college where I was being hit on by another female, and I wasn't interested at all. So it kind of was like, okay, well, I guess I know now. I'm not into women. I can appreciate.
And I'm not about to pry or anything like that, but
sure.
I'm like, in a moment like that where you felt a strong emotional reaction to distance yourself from this person because of what was going on, was it because she was a woman or because she was this specific individual that you just weren't attracted to?
No, I think I didn't have a strong reaction, like, start to fight her or anything like that. It was just I realized at that moment, was like, I'm not interested in being with a woman. I just wasn't attracted. It wasn't that she was unattractive. It wasn't anything like that. I mean, I don't know if there was a moment where like an Angelina Jolie came to me that I would feel the same. I have no idea. But I think I pretty much know that I'm not interested in being with another woman.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
You know why? Because you know yourself.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Right.
And we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Okay. That went down a weird rabbit hole. But...
It sure did.
Okay, moving on. Who is the most talented person you know?
The most talented person I know? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm not sure.
Do you know any artists, performers, or who's somebody that you admire that does good work?
Well, there was somebody that I worked with who was highly intelligent. Well, he still is. I don't work with him anymore, but highly intelligent, the type of person who would almost have a photographic memory, and at a young age was able to be someone that everyone depended on. Technology-wise, like he could build spreadsheets, he could build reports, like he knew everything. It seemed like there wasn't a question that he would say, I don't know, to. So I really admired that because I admire someone who has a lot of intelligence.
Interesting, that came to mind first, but totally valid.
Yeah.
Somebody like that in a working environment of any industry, one of the, who's the standout? Who's the go-to person that knows the job in and out and has a surplus knowledge of things and how they work? That's always impressive and can a lot of times be very attractive. Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, you may also you find yourself attracted to somebody in the arts or somebody who runs like a talk show on YouTube,
right.
Somebody who's like really good at hosting shows, asking questions. It's just it's a spectrum, you never know. So.
You never know. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. We're finally at the last question, and this one is really exciting.
Okay.
It's a question. It is a question, but it's also a bit of a challenge to you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to explain this to you, and then it's going to be timed.
Oh, no.
How many Lorne phrases and questions can you state in 1 minute from memory? Questions like, are you excited to touch my penis? Like something like, or like just Lorneisms. I'm going to have a tally going behind the scene. I have my stopwatch ready here.
Oh my God.
I'm going to give you a countdown and then we're going to go. Okay?
All right.
How many Lorneisms, I think that's what they're called. I think that's what we're going to call them. How many Lorneisms can you name in under a minute? Are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, sir. Can I have a kiss? I haven't had a kiss yet. It's a wet track. Are you anxious to touch my penis? Why are you rushing? Hello, my beautiful lady. My precious princess. Kayla. Huh? Oh, shit.
40 seconds.
Okay. I don't know. I'm totally losing. I have no idea.
Have you ever heard of the Beatles?
Have you ever heard of the Beatles? Yeah. All right. We're just going to say I did 120.
Oh, okay. Because that's 1 minute right there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Really, you were firing them off there for a second. That was impressive.
You know what it is I'm hearing the other end of the conversation too, and it's throwing me off. Like I can hear Kayla.
Plus, I mean, there's so many.
So many. Literal asshole.
Almost overwhelming. Yeah.
It is. It's overwhelming. Yeah.
He's a very repetitious man.
Yes.
Well, those are all the questions I had for you.
All
I'm going
right.
to throw it to you for a second. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we can move right on to the suggestion part of the show.
Well, I do have a question, and you've probably answered it before, but what made you decide to do your documentary all that time ago?
Well, I'm glad you at least know of it. I know it's like...
I watched it.
It's my best performing video. As several years later, it's very much a student film. You can tell it's not perfect in any technical sense. But by that point, I was probably 8 months into the Lorneography rabbit hole. I was following Bass Shaman. I was following Sam Pendleton. I mean, this was an academic endeavor, too. Like, this wasn't just something I decided to do for me. This was something that was my senior thesis, believe it or not. And I had options. I could have either written this in-depth 30-page essay, which, Jesus, the thought of that is like an anxiety attack. There were a couple other options, but then there was this option to make a documentary, and I had not only this idea, but I also had a professor and advisor who, as a communications student, I had a communications who was very fascinated with To Catch a Predator, but she didn't realize at the time what I knew was happening online. But she was also very interested in studying it as a piece of media too. So we had amazing conversations back and forth, as you can imagine. As somebody who's a professional in their field that studies these types of things, and then me who's about to come to her and be like, have you heard of the motherfucking Church of God? Like, you have no idea. I was so excited to do it. I had a rough, I had very little understanding of how to work editing software and movie, but the whole project was 100% me. I probably put 100 hours of work into it, at least. I did the writing, the editing, the filming, and everything else. And thankfully, thank God, if you will, the people that I did interview for the series, or for the documentary, were very quick to jump on board and help me out, which I was nobody at that point. Nobody knew who I was. And they just wanted to tell their story. And I said, this is a professional thing. I really want to do this right. Let's do this over and I'll put it together in one bigger piece of media. And I loved how it turned out at the time. I literally cried when I finished it. I couldn't believe that I made something so professional looking. Again, visiting it years later, it's not perfect. But I think what sold it to my professors was I did exactly what they were hoping a student in this position would do, which is not just sit back and Google a bunch of things and then just put it into a video. I would go to my professor with updates like, you're not going to believe this. Like, I know people that are in contact with Lorne right now. It's like, I've been in contact with people who are professionals in media, professionals in child psychology, like actual victims of types of crimes, and they were just blown away that I was getting as heavily invested as I was, and that's why I got an A+. And everybody said you don't get an A+ because it's impossible to get an A+, and I got an A+.
Nice job.
So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But why I made it was just something that I found interesting, and it just never went away.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I didn't spend a week going down the rabbit hole and then just leaving it alone. It was something that remained interesting and was still active too. Bass Shaman was uploading new shit all the time. And then along comes Mr. Gigi too. And then these people I got in contact with for my show, I was like, you guys did these Lorne radios way back in the day. Those are amazing. I love listening to those. Would you guys want to do a show like that again? And that's what started Codcast. Mm-hmm. And we did that for a long time. And that went up crazier than I ever thought it could be. But to answer your of like why I made the documentary, the simple answer is because it was my homework assignment. Basically.
There you go.
But a much more complex answer is it was the most interesting thing to me at the time that I was the most passionate about.
Yeah.
And I was ready to tell people about it because I needed something to show people that was a little bit more legitimate than me saying, you remember that show To Catch a Predator? Well, there's this guy and he was on the show and he's a pedophile and we're kind of obsessed with him. It's a little bit difficult to articulate exactly why people are into this fandom. So
exactly.
That's really why I made it. So, wow, that was a long answer. I'm so but thank you.
No, it was a good answer. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think that's going to do it here, and I'm about to offer you some suggestions of things to check out. Are you ready?
I am ready.
So, Tiffany, I've got a couple of suggestions here. I got to rattle them off here. I hope you haven't seen or heard or done these things.
All right.
Let's start with television. Are you a big TV person at all?
Not really, just more like Hulu and Netflix. So I don't really watch TV on its own.
Netflix, chill.
Yes, exactly.
Well, okay. Well, you said Hulu though, so that's good. Mm-hmm. The show I want to recommend is definitely on Hulu right now. I think there's some new episodes coming in the next couple of months too. It's a spin-off sort of a movie that I actually haven't seen, so I'm going to seem hella ignorant recommending it to you. But the show is called What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
It is a mockumentary similar to that of The Office about vampires.
Nice.
I'm not going to give anything away, but it's worth checking out. It's a hidden gem for sure.
Great. For
movies, I've been dishing out a lot of comedies lately. Maybe I'll change it up a bit. I don't know what kind of movies you're really into. Of course, the point of my interview is to sort of gauge what type of a person you are without actually just upfront asking you what your favorite movies are, things like that. But if I were to recommend a drama to you, off the top of my head, some of the best dramas that come to mind that I haven't already suggested. V for Vendetta, is that something that you've seen before, personally?
I have not seen that before. No.
Well, you are in for a treat. That's a very good movie.
Excellent.
And it still holds up today. It's again, I just can't get to it. I really want to tell you about it, but we'll talk about it next week when we meet back, okay?
Okay.
Second, we had spoken one point earlier where I asked you if you have heard of the Gorillaz before, correct?
I have.
And you know their gimmick, they're an animated band, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that they've still been making music throughout the last couple of years?
No, I know, I think one song.
Well, they've released 2 albums in the last 3 years.
Okay.
I'm going to send you one of them.
Okay.
Called Humans. It's probably... You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to change I'm not going to send you Humans, but I'm going to send you Plastic Beach.
Okay.
It's just the better album, and there's a chance you may have heard one or two of the two, but people who are actually fans of this are going to crucify me if I don't send you what is regarded as either one of or at least the best album by them. So
okay, good.
I'm going to do that then. So looking at the options I was considering giving you, I've done this a couple of times where I've given a YouTuber as a suggestion for people to check out. I think that's just easy, and I think there's a lot of good YouTubers out there. Specifically, one that comes to mind, he makes some really well-polished videos about a whole wide range of topics that are really fun to binge. Have you heard of The Right Opinion?
I have not.
The Right Opinion is a British fellow. He covers a lot of interesting things, including even, a little bit of our own Chris Hansen controversy at one point. He's worked with Mr. Gigi before, actually, so they're tight.
Okay.
He's super cool. I think you'll like his style of videos. If you like, like West Most, Bakeline, and that kind of stuff, where it goes really in-depth thing, I think you'll enjoy it.
Very good. I'll check it out.
Now, what do you have for me?
So what I have for you for TV, I'm sure you have the Netflix, correct?
I do have the net.
Okay, great. And have you heard of a show called Shameless?
Yeah, I've heard of it, and everybody tells me it's good. I should watch it. I guess I have to watch it.
You have to watch it, because that is my pick.
Why? What do you love about it?
It's hilarious. I think that the characters are excellent. And it's basically about this dysfunctional family. And they're trying to hold each other together. I think there's 6 kids. And then the father, who's a total alcoholic degenerate. But it's really a good show. I think you're going to like it. It's definitely not something that you can watch with the parents or any young kids or anything like that.
Are they still making episodes?
Actually, I think they might be done or they're on the last season. I'm not sure because I haven't finished the whole thing yet.
Well, if I do fall into it, luckily I've got a lot of seasons to catch up on.
You do.
That's
Yeah,
good.
you definitely do. So it's definitely a really good one. I think you're going to like it.
Okay. Now, how about movie?
And then for movies, I have something that's super old.
Oh, boy.
I am a fan of old movies, the black and whites. I think that there's something about them that just even the lighting and the costumes, there's something special about them. So I wanted to throw that at you and see if you'd be interested in watching something from 1944. Yeah, it's a little old.
All right.
But it's called Gaslight. And it has Ingrid Bergman, who is also in Casablanca.
Okay.
And then also Charles Boyer, who was a big actor at the time as well. And basically, just like the title, Gaslight, that is what he is trying to do to her. And that is where the term comes from.
What genre of movie does this fall under?
Drama. Yeah, it's definitely drama. So gaslighting, everybody likes a good gaslighting, so you can see where the origin of that.
Well, I'm not going to count it out. All right.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to check it out. Yep.
Very good. So now for music, I have something for you. A band called Stereophonics.
I have literally never heard of that.
Okay. So they're from the UK. And I was introduced to them by Andrew Burkett. And he and I do not have the same similar taste in music at all. So he will send me something.
I'm surprised it wasn't Oasis, because that's all he talks about. But,
yeah, well, that was first. So the Oasis was first, but then this was next. And typically we don't agree at all in our music style. So when he sent me this band, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll listen to it. But I actually really like it. So this band has been around for a really long time, and they have a ton of albums.
Except the Stereophonics?
Yeah, Stereophonics. Okay. And the album that I want you to listen to is Keep the Village Alive. And in particular, there is a song called Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I think that might be one of my favorites.
Keep the Village Alive. You've got a couple tracks on there you think I'm really going to like.
Yes. Yeah, I think you'll like all of them. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is just really catchy. There's something that I really like about it, yeah. But all of the songs I think you'll like. Or you better, anyway. So I was thinking of going with food. And it's something also that you're going to have to make. And it's from the New England area. So coming from where you're from and being a Bills fan and stuff like that, you're going to have to set your feelings aside. And you're going to have to make something delicious. I have a feeling
that this is some sort of crazy attempt to poison me, but okay.
It could be. But it's something really simple, but the name of it is Dynamite.
It's called a dynamite.
No, it's called Dynamites with an
Plural.
S. Yes.
Is gunpowder a key ingredient?
Well, crushed red pepper is, so maybe that could be the gunpowder. But this is something. Let's all tie everything back to Lorne. Let's do that, because this is actually something that his mother makes, and he mentioned it.
It must not be that expensive to make.
No, definitely not. It isn't. It's really quite simple, but it's something that he had mentioned that she makes for the 10-mile yard sale that they have every year. And I almost fell out of my chair when I heard that, because that's something that I used to have with my family too. And I still like it. So I think you will. It's sort of like, you can call it like a chili without beans, or you can liken it to a sloppy Joe. But you don't have to.
That has stood the test of time, at least.
Yeah, definitely. It is really good. I think you're going to like it.
Well, my expectations are skyrocketing right now, and I hope they don't let me down, but I don't think they will. I have 4 things that I have to do this week now, and you do as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. This was a blast.
Of course. Thank you so much.
I'm really looking forward to hearing back from you in a couple of days when we talk about what we did and didn't like, okay?
Absolutely.
I have a feeling you're going to like all the stuff I send you.
Okay, we'll see.
Until next time, we'll see you in a couple days. And we're back. It's been about a week. Tiffany, how the hell are you?
I am doing very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm staying happy and staying healthy, so, I can't really complain.
Yeah, me too.
Most of the same here, so we're still in lockdown protocol, but
yeah,
summer's around the corner. Hopefully, we're ready to reopen and safely sometime soon. But today, I'm really glad we got to meet up again because I'm really excited to talk about some of the things we gave each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about the things that I have to say.
Good.
To start, I'd like to talk about music. Well, it's fresh on my mind. You recommended a group called the Stereophonics.
Yes.
A little bizarre in that in the album you gave me, Keep the Village Alive.
Mm-hmm.
Their video views on YouTube range from 5 million to just a couple thousand. But unsurprisingly, I really liked their big hits in that. For sure, C'est La Vie was fun and fast. But some of their deep tracks, some of their smaller viewed ones, they had a real vibe. I was really digging the sound. Yeah, it's just chill. It's just very summery music.
Yeah, it is, and they have so many albums.
I was impressed by the volume of just the content that they had.
Yeah.
But the album I listened to in succession all the way through was really nice, and like I said, I liked C'est La Vie, and I liked Songs for the Summer.
Okay.
Like I said, it's just chill. It
is. It's nice to have. It's just on. It's not distracting, but it is nice to listen to. I listen to them a lot.
They're not exceptionally loud, like we said, or like that much very defined by their sound. I think they have a sound that a lot of other groups kind of have, but still at the same time, it still felt very unique to me. In an almost inexplicable way, but I really enjoyed it. I'd have to give it a 7 out of 10.
Nice,
sure.
Very good. I'm glad to hear it. Hopefully you'll check out some of their other albums too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They keep showing up on my YouTube auto play because I listen to them, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me about the music you listen to?
Well, I listened to the Gorillaz. That was your recommendation, and I had heard the name before, but I hadn't really listened to them very much. And the album that you had me listen to was The Plastic Beach. And I have to say, I didn't really like it.
Oh! Swing and a miss.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I'm curious. That's one of my favorite Gorilla albums, so go ahead. Yeah.
Is it? No. So I listened to everything. But then I figured there had to be something else because I knew they would have other albums out there. So I went into my iTunes and they had an essentials playlist for them. And so I was checking that out, and a lot of the songs came from Demon Days.
Yeah. I would have figured you would have heard at least most of those songs. That's why. So swing and a miss in terms of album recommendation, but so you did find one that you enjoyed, but the one that I recommended, Plastic Beach, was just not your cup of tea?
It wasn't. I think the reason why is, from the pick that I gave to you, my music taste is pretty standard, and the Gorillaz are a little bit more experimental.
Yes.
So what I didn't like about Plastic Beach is that it didn't feel like they were songs. It felt like there was just a lot of, I don't want to say noise because that sounds like an old person thing to say.
Yeah.
It was just it was using different sounds, and that was more of what the album was concentrated on. But when I was listening to Demon Days and some of the other stuff, lyrically, there was a lot more to listen to. And I think that's the reason why I liked it more.
Well, glad you at least found something that you enjoyed. What would you rate it?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
if you had to be honest.
Um, I probably would give it a 5.
Okay.
Just because, and that's just based on my music taste. That doesn't say anything about their talent or,
No,
maybe
It's definitely one of the more out there albums, and I'm a big fan of experimental type music, like that. I've definitely
right.
recommended similar artists on this show and to
Yeah.
my friends and family. But okay, well, that's good to know. Next, I want to talk about our movies. Now, you recommended Gaslight, a black and white 1944 film from who the hell knows director. I went in with the lowest of expectations because it's an old movie and I don't like old things. And
Oh, jeez, right?
I was wrong. It was fantastic. It was so good and engaging, and it felt like it could have been out of the modern era if it wanted to be. And I hope they don't attempt to remake it because this version is perfect.
Yeah.
I thought that there were some fun twists in there, and I thought the acting was fantastic. It wasn't too long either, but it wasn't too short. It just told a great story, and I can see its influence in other mediums, in other films and television shows that I wasn't able to pick up on before. But honestly, probably one of the better movies that I've reviewed on this show. To be honest, it's definitely stood the test of time. So I'm gonna
absolutely.
I'm gonna go a strong 8.5, maybe 9 out of 10.
Nice. I'm so glad. That was the one that I was a little worried about.
No, you hit the nail on the head. I'm glad you took that risk. I really liked it.
Good.
You definitely got an interesting movie, and I'm curious to hear about this one.
I did. I did get an interesting movie. I went into it with a different expectation, although I didn't really know what it was going to be. But I think immediately when I saw DC Comics in the opening credit, I said, oh, is this going to be sort of like a comic book type of a movie, like sort of like a Batman or superhero? And it sort of had that feel to it, like the lone guy out there who's trying to either save or destroy everything. And that certainly was V in V for Vendetta. I liked it. I liked it, I think, a lot more when it was done. And I was able to sort of just sit there and ask myself, did I like this?
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
Yeah. And, again, it's definitely something that I would not have picked for myself. I'm glad that I did watch it. I think basically because I don't really watch movies like the Batman, like Superman type of stuff. So this definitely was different. I think in today's climate, it's an amazing movie to watch.
No, definitely.
It brings up some things that are relevant. I mean, it talks about a virus that is released and taking off people, and then also just how government is. And I would say right now is a time that feels very, very unsettling. So you can imagine being a citizen in Great Britain, at the time period that they are doing this, that it feels very much the same for me as it does right now. I would have to say that this feels more unsettling than after 9/11.
I think we can all agree it's a similar feeling. It definitely was when shit really started getting real, and we realized that this lockdown wasn't going to be a few weeks. It was going to be something. And the same similar feeling to 9/11 was like feeling hopeless, like you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, with 9/11,
which is not true. I mean, technically, just by staying home, that's the best way to fight this.
Oh, definitely. But I think for 9/11, even obviously it was devastating, but there was a feeling of like, okay, this hasn't ever happened before, so obviously we don't know what to do. But it seemed like there was a response to it. Like, okay, the military is now going to do this, and here's how we're going to handle it. But now it feels like nobody really knows what to do, and everyone's fighting. So it's, the food chain is in question. Who knows if we're going to have as much food as we need, and
eat the rich.
Well, there's a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
good for your cholesterol.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was a factor in recommending it to. I
Mm-hmm.
figured like a movie with a social commentary like that, with a message like that, especially at this time, is going to be very impactful.
Yeah.
I definitely encourage anybody who hasn't seen it to spend an afternoon seeing it. It is a little bit of a long movie, but it certainly has a comic book feel, but it is by no ways like a comic book movie.
Right.
The anti-hero in this isn't out fighting crime, really. I mean, he's fighting injustice in a way against the elite, but it shows how much of a difference one or maybe two people can make if they choose
Oh yeah,
to,
definitely. Yeah.
and standing up to oppressors.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, now I'm ready to talk about my favorite of all the things I got
All
for
right.
you. Your recipe. By the way, so funny. Shortly after our interview, you know who John Krasinski is from
Yes.
The Office? Jim. He has a channel on YouTube now called Some Good News, and they post videos of, you know, people doing positive things around. And he gets in touch with some of his celebrity friends to interact with his fans. In his most recent episode, he talked about getting fan recipes and had some of his celebrity chef friends make them. And he had Guy Fieri on, and what was he cooking? Dynamites.
Nice.
He was cooking the exact thing that you... up until a week ago, never heard of it, never even thought it was a real thing. I thought you just made it up. No, it was a real thing. He made, and I'm like, oh, no shit. So you gave me your recipe, and I could tell right away it was going to be good when I was cooking it because I would smell it, and I was like, oh, shit, this is going to be good. But I decided to add my own little spin on it. I added a couple of extra ingredients to spice it up because I really like it spicy, and I threw some cheese in there just because I'm slowly trying to kill myself.
Nice.
And holy shit, it was so good. I ate it every day for a few days, and as soon as I ran out, I went back to the store to get the ingredients again to make it again. I didn't eat it without buns just because I just don't eat bread, but I just ate it straight up. Like a chili almost. I had some sour cream on the top, a little sprinkle, a little cheese on that shit.
Nice.
Yeah, like 1,000 calories, but I didn't give it that.
Yeah, no. Well,
so
good. I'm really glad that you like it. It's something that I've had my whole entire life.
I heard a rumor, if anybody's curious, that Old Teacup Recipes may be making a video about this, so you'll get the recipe. The creative collaboration between Tiffany, Lockheart, and myself, and with the help of the arms.
The arms, yes, exactly.
So 10 out of 10, easily.
Perfect. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you liked it.
Now, how about your last homework
So
assignment?
the last homework assignment was looking at that YouTube channel, The Right Opinion. And, you know, I would think that's something that I should have named my own channel, you know, because it makes sense. But
of course.
So what I did was I just took a look at one of his, and actually I was scrolling through and I forgot about the Hanson stuff. I forgot about Gigi, which I should have watched those, but I immediately stopped when I saw Amberlynn Reed. So I took a look at the video that he did about her. And she's somebody that I wasn't aware of until maybe like a year ago. She was mentioned. And so I sort of have been following her, not too closely, but it was really interesting to hear what he had to say because, you know, she's definitely an interesting character. A lot of people think she trolls, but, you know, basically
it's a name I keep hearing popping up.
Yeah, well, she's someone who started a YouTube channel several years ago, probably about 5 years ago, and she wanted to do it for weight loss purposes. But during the course of that time, she has gained 200 pounds plus. So it's you know, there's a lot of people that don't like her, and it's not just like a fat shaming type of a thing. It's more like they don't like that they've caught her in a lot of lies and the things that she's done, and here she is making a ton of money on YouTube, but also, you know, isn't sincere. I think that's what it is. And most recently, there was a GoFundMe scam in reference to her girlfriend's mother. So it's really interesting to
Was her
see
best friend's mom dying of cancer?
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, she did have cancer, and that's what it was related to. So, yeah.
It was a scam?
Well, there's
Greatly
a lot of
inflating
questions.
facts.
I mean, you know, GoFundMe stuff is always a little sketchy, but a lot of stuff started to come out about that. So I listened to what he had to say, and I liked it. I'm definitely going to be looking at some more of his videos.
He's very insightful, and his videos are extremely well produced.
Yes, they are.
Would you consider his opinion to be correct?
I would.
Oh, good.
I would
Okay.
consider it to be correct. Yeah, it wasn't, everything that he had to say had something to back it up, which I think is really important.
Let's hope Miss Reed doesn't watch this video and get your Dynamite's recipe, because it's just going to be downhill
I
from
know,
there.
I know.
Everything in moderation, folks.
Absolutely.
Well, we had a lot of fun, didn't we? I got to check out a lot of really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but one more thing. I almost forgot. Our TV
The
show.
TV show.
I skipped right over
Yeah.
that. Yes. Talk about, again, going in super low expectations. 100 people have told me to watch Shameless, and I watched about the first 10 minutes of it and turned it off. I said, no, this is not for me. I don't like this. I don't like it for some reason. But because I'm dedicated to this show, and I like you a lot, Tiffany, I decided to give it a second chance.
Okay.
And I gotta be honest, total 180. Really enjoyed it, actually. I stuck through it, and it was, of course, better than I had anticipated. It's got me excited because I'm definitely willing to watch more of it, and I probably will, but I know that that's going to snowball, and then I'm going to start binging the whole series, which is only a matter of time now before I run out of, if I run out of new episodes of Better Call Saul to watch.
Right.
It's going to lead right into that.
Yeah.
But something about how they've written their characters to be so likable and unlikable at the same time. Very real. Very outrageous situations, but very real type of people where they're not great, but they're not bad either. They're just kind of some shitty people who do some good things, or good people who do some shitty things.
Yeah, but absolutely. And in that show, there's a lot of boobs.
Oh shit! I gotta watch some more.
Is that what changed your mind?
No, I don't even remember seeing any titties.
You don't.
Oh wait,
well, they're
no,
definitely there.
Yeah,
So
there definitely was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, now I have to have more of a reason why. That's what got me into Game of Thrones, right?
Oh, there you go.
All right. Well, that's cool. So, it's too early for me to tell because I'm probably gonna check out more. But from what I saw, 8.5 out of 10. I'd say.
Good. Yeah, I think it's really gonna suck you in.
Okay.
I think you're really gonna like it. Yeah. So the show that I had to watch was What We Do in the Shadows. And again, something I definitely would not have picked for myself. But I do have to say, I watched one episode, and I will be watching more, just didn't have the time to. I think it's really interesting. There were some really funny parts in there. I like how it's dry humor. And I really like dry humor. I think that's what makes me laugh the most. So, seeing how it's very, just like you had described it, it's the Office style of filming that I think it made it really funny, where they're trying to take themselves very, very seriously, but they're vampires, living in the modern world. So, how serious can it be? And so I think I'm really gonna like it. It's something that I'm definitely gonna check out more of.
All right, cool. Yeah, they're airing episodes of their second season right now, and I'm watching along week by week, and it's still just as awesome as I remember it. So,
that's so funny. Good. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's four fun things that we got to check out.
You did.
I appreciate you taking the time to come on and speak with me. I think I really enjoyed our first part of our interview a lot. And it's, this is always fun because I like to hear whether I'm right or wrong about things. And it's nice to know that I'm not perfect every time, that I can, throw some curveballs at people. And, I'm just glad that you liked what you did like. So.
Oh, absolutely. I did like, and just to say something too about the gorillas, I did like it. It's not that I didn't. It's different from what I normally would listen to. So I think that's really important to do. I know for myself, I get stuck in ruts, and I tend to be like very plain with things. I mean, the recipe I gave you is pretty plain, right? There's not a whole lot to it.
Well, I can be a little closed-minded too when it comes to trying new things, and that's been the great thing about this show is that I do check out things that I otherwise would have just looked over.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's really important to do that because you don't know what you're going to end up really liking. So I really appreciated doing this.
Tiffany, you want to let the people know where they can find you on YouTube?
They can find me on YouTube. I do have a channel. It's not very, very active, but hopefully I'm going to do some more things. And if you just look up Tiffany Lockheart, there's a couple of them, but you're going to recognize me because you're going to see a little lock in the profile picture.
Clever.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And let's collab again sometime in the future on some project.
Absolutely.
I'd really like to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
All right. Well, this has been the Never Ever Show. We're about to call it a day here. Thank you once again. I really look forward to working with you again in the future. This was so much fun to do. And congratulations. You were my first female guest on the show. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels amazing. It feels amazing. Thank you so much.
Don't tell the other people, but you were actually my first choice.
Oh, nice.
One. But I had to, I didn't want to come off too strong. So.
Yeah, no, I understand.
All right. You have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening, everybody. Take care.